Hey, this is Dr. Cody Sipe with the Functional Aging Institute, and I'll give you some kind of key tips to success for developing a small group training program for mature adults. Now, in our facility, Miracles Fitness, we've been using small group personal training for a number of years now, and it is really the best thing that we've done for our business and for our clients. And so I want to talk about some of our experiences, some of our keys to success, as well as those kind of things that we've heard from other people that have worked for them as well. Now, you might find that you might have to adjust some of these kind of characteristics or tips that I give you based on your situation, but they're rather universal, so I think you'll get a lot out of it. You know, when it comes to small group personal training, we need to first kind of define what that means. When we talk about small group, for us that means about 4 to 6 clients. We try not to exceed 6 clients in any one group, because then the group isn't really small anymore and we cannot provide that personalized attention for each and every participant. You know, it just becomes more of a large group program. So we try to keep it between 4 to 6 clients. We think that works really well. If you do have more frail clients, and we'll talk about some of these issues in a little bit, but if you have more frail clients or those with balance issues that you have to watch more closely, then you probably want to limit that to 4 clients and keep that as your max. But when we talk about this, we mean personal training. We do mean that we are still providing that personalized level of service to each and every individual. So we are not going to have everyone do the same thing all the time. We want Jane doing what's appropriate for Jane and Mike doing what's appropriate for Mike, and etc. Right? We still want to keep their specific individual needs in mind. So to us, that's what small group personal training is all about. So we look at some of the benefits of it, and you know, our clients love it, our trainers like it, and we like it as owners of a facility. The benefits are really threefold. So for the clients, compared to one-on-one training, they're obviously going to get a lot more social interaction with each other. You know, it's very common for our groups to be laughing and talking and conversing and sharing and telling stories, you know, with one another, because it's a very social group. And sometimes, even with our groups, we have to limit how much social interaction they have, or else we're not going to get anything done in the course of our training program. But it's very fun, very social, very interactive. We try to encourage them to be supports for one another. You know, if somebody isn't here one day, usually one of the other clients knows why that person isn't here, right? They've communicated and they've talked about it because they kind of have this bond. Plus, it's cheaper for them than doing one-on-one training. And so when we look at structuring the price of small group versus one-on-one, we need to make it advantageous for them to do the small group personal training. Okay, so it's cheaper for them. But for the trainer, depending on how you run your facility now, we salary a lot of our trainers. In fact, the most of our trainers we put on salary. That's just how our trainers have really liked to kind of set up that arrangement. That's how we've enjoyed it. We think there's a lot of benefits to that. But you know, a lot of places, you know, it's going to be based on how many clients do you have in a certain group, which is a little bit harder to handle. But when you get down to it, a trainer is going to make more per period of time, per half-hour session, doing small group compared to one-on-one. So they have the potential to make a lot more money. Plus, it is more fun. It is social. It is very interactive. You know, we don't have the time or the luxury that we do with one client. When we have one client doing something and we can kind of check our phone, look at the TV, you know, watch somebody across the room. You can't really do that when you have 4 to 6 clients in front of you. So the trainers really stay engaged with the session, which makes time really fly by. So more fun, more revenue, more of a challenge for them. And of course, as a facility, we are helping more people, right? We are able to help more people in the confines of our facility and with the resources that we have by doing small group training compared to one-on-one training. And then of course, it is much more profitable per period of time than one-on-one training. It helps to boost revenue and profitability for the whole facility. So there's a lot of great benefits from all the different stakeholders that are involved to do small group training versus one-on-one training. So how do you do it? What do you do? Well, there are a few keys. I mentioned the limit in the number of people being about 4 to 6. But within that group, you want to make sure that your clients are not too dissimilar as far as functional levels go and functional abilities. If you have someone who is very frail, and then you have someone who is very athletic and fit in the same group, chances are neither of them are going to get a good workout. that they need to go through. And so we try to group people according to functional ability. Doesn't mean they have to all be exactly the same. We can still have some adjustments within that, right? Because we can always adjust it, again, for Sally to have a different type of lunge, a different depth, a different weight, something dynamic versus something static, or fast versus slow. We can always add that in, but there's only so much of that you can do. And so you want to make sure that the functional levels are at least pretty similar within one group. In addition, you want to make sure that you pre-approve people in order to get into small group personal training in the first place. If we have someone come in and they had a stroke recently, and they still have a deficit, and they still have gait problems, and they're a balance kind of a fall risk, then we don't want them to be in small group personal training yet. And so we might have a transition period in which we say, okay, we're going to start off by doing one-on-one training, but the goal is to get you into small group, and we'll gradually introduce them into a group as they get better. So make sure that you're pre-approving them. Another key that we want to focus on is to keep the purpose as functional as you can. So we kind of fall back into things that we rely on that are kind of those very basic or foundational movements when we don't have anything else to do, we don't know what to do, we didn't plan appropriately, a piece of equipment isn't available, and that was in our plan for the day. What do? Well, let's just do this. And so we try to make sure that we stay away from things like just get on a machine and do a row, just do some sort of dumbbell bench press. We want to keep the overall flow as functional as possible. Now within that, we still want to make sure that people are moving very quickly from station to station, but that doesn't mean it has to be a big metabolic type of circuit program. You can determine on whether that's appropriate for your group or not. And if that's what the focus of your program is, that's fine. But for us, we tend to leave the metabolic components outside of that small group training program, but that still leaves us room to move very quickly. So we might do 3 exercises in a row, and one is more strenuous or intense, and another is a balance or a gait exercise, and then something else is simple as well. So we can put those things together. They can do them all very quickly before they kind of take a break and go on to the next group. That's just one way that you can do it. You have to think about how you're going to monitor people. I don't really like the small groups in which people are dispersed in different areas and don't really connect with one another. We want to really nurture that connection and that bond between them. And so we want to keep them kind of in this separate area. Now there might be times which we split them up, but we really like to keep them together as much as possible. So let's get down to looking at something that's very, very important, and that is price. How do I cost this thing out so it is beneficial for all the parties involved? Well, one, it needs to look like it's a great deal to the client to do this versus one-on-one. And so we, over the years, because we want as many people to do small group training as possible, and we really want to limit the amount of one-on-one training, as we have continued to move up the price of our one-on-one training. So you can still get one-on-one training, but you're going to have to pay through the nose to get it, because we want you in small group. We want to funnel as many people into small groups. So it really looks like a great deal to get into small group personal training compared to one-on-one. Plus, you need to make sure that if you are paying your trainer incrementally, that you don't get in a situation where you're going to lose money, right? So if you only have 2 clients in a group, that should still be solvent. You should not lose money just because you have only 2 people in a group. And sometimes you have to start a group with just 2 people because you're trying to fill it, right? You're trying to get to 6. But of course, every person that adds into that group, it just makes it more and more profitable. Now, of course, you can max that out for your trainer, or you can just set a set rate for your trainer. Say, look, for small group, this is what we're paying. And so if you have 2 clients in that slot, the facility isn't making any money, right? But it's up to the facility to then fill those spots, as opposed to being up to the trainer to fill those spots. If it's up to the trainer to fill the spots, they obviously need some financial incentive in order to do it, right? If I'm gonna get paid the same for 4 clients versus 6 clients, why would I get 6 clients, right? I would get 4 clients, and then I'd try to create another group of 2 clients to get another 4 clients in another group, right? So they're gonna find ways to use that system to their advantage. So it needs to be fair all the way around, okay? We wanna make sure that it's fair and equitable all the way around. Now, one of the big issues that we run into is time. How long do you do these sessions for? we do them for 30 minutes and we limit them to 30 minutes. If you have not been involved in 30-minute training sessions before, you've only done 1 hour training sessions, hey, you don't know what you're missing. A 30-minute session, you can pack so much in. You can pack everything you need to into that 30-minute session. Now you might have them go do some stuff on their own afterwards, like we will have people go do their cardio routine on their own after the session so that we don't have to deal with it in the session itself. And so we can cram a lot of very functional resistance training, balance training, gait training, mobility, agility, proprioception, motor control, all those different impairment level factors we talked about. We can fit a lot into just one 30-minute session as long as we keep it moving and keep it fast paced. Lastly, one of the keys is that you want them to be committed long term. That's really a key to these small groups working. This whole drop-in card thing, I don't think really works for this population because you don't get the bonds that are there. In fact, the people that are committed, they get kind of ticked off when people are constantly dropping in that they don't know and they don't have a connection with, right? So you want to make sure that they're in it for the long haul, that they're doing long-term training with you. They're committed to a certain group. That doesn't mean they can't change and move to a group at a different time, or if they miss today, can they move to a group tomorrow? Yes, you can always do that. A lot of other issues that go along with kind of the scheduling part that I'm not going to get into, but these are really some keys to developing and getting this started so it's successful and it's going to be very useful and beneficial for the trainer, for the facility, and for the client. So if you're interested in learning more about how to really develop a small group personal training program, then I want to encourage you to take advantage of our Advanced Functional Aging Specialist Workshop so that you can really see the ins and outs of how we run it and how that might relate to your business, or even consider business coaching so we can help you along in developing that program for the long term.